All right, guys and gals of the movement world, Sean Mishka, Football Beyond the Stats, in our deep dive into Jonathan Taylor, the 2021 Mover of the Year. We've basically made it to the end of the road, depending on what order you end up watching these videos, but the end of the road signified by week 18 of the National Football League season, the very last week that Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts played in this 2021 season, knowing full well what actually ended up emerging and materializing here in a must-win game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, they ended up finding their season and their campaign coming to an end. But it wasn't because of number 28, the tailback halfback for the Indianapolis Colts, the most masterful, most dexterous mover currently doing it in this National Football League NFL season. So today we're going to be looking at some things that we haven't really seen from him up to this point, particularly though we've featured his open field movement skills, we haven't really gotten to see his deceptive nature in those open field movement skills nearly as much as that he actually put on display in the 21 season. It happened frequently, and there's a true maturity, a true evolution to this deceptive nature when he gets in open space and he gets at angles. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to end up featuring in today's video. The other thing is the truly authentic, creative, novel emergence of a movement solution and strategy. And we're going to see that at the line of scrimmage as well. Now, creativity, particularly within or for running backs, will take place in any number of things or ways. It could be in the form of a spin, as we're about to see today, a spin with contact and traffic, as we're about to see today. It could take place in a hurdle, a hybrid of any number of cutting actions. It could be any number of things, as we have seen from NFL running backs over the years. Every year that passes by, there's more and more creativity that actually continues to shine through. As long as players are given the liberty and the freedom to be able to create these movement solutions, to be able to solve movement problems in their most authentic fashion. I think that's something that Jonathan Taylor himself could stand to add more of, though he is very authentic in the way that he perceives, selects, and acts upon affordances in the world based on his own action capabilities. I do believe that he could get a little bit more stylistic flair to what he does and how he does it, and allow the creation of his own unique and authentic movement solution to continue to be put at the forefront, especially with the abundance of movement strategies that he possesses. I think if he can start to give himself some room to tap into those things like a spin move, particularly with his fine control and attunement, his fine control of his movement based on his attunement to interpersonal distance. I think there's a spin move in a spin move that can be adjusted and adapted in his arsenal that could be there and could be developed. But that's a topic for another day, and actually probably another video, specifically in regards to what I would do, or what I would focus on if he and I were to ever partner together. But on to this week's play, or this week 18 play of Jonathan Taylor. Let me get back to her. This is the second week in a row, or second time in a row I've done this. Let me get back to the normal speed first and foremost. And we are going to have a couple of views of this one. So now we see him go into the congestion. There's that novel movement strategy and solution I talked about. And there's also some novelty, particularly in the form of deception, in the deceptive nature of his acceleration and of his speed strategy. We've talked really frequently here at and in this movement or mover of the year deep dive. We've talked really frequently about his abundance, but part of that abundance is actually knowing how to adapt that plethora of strategy, or the plethora of strategies, rather, and how it could be adjusted flexibly to match and meet the needs of the respective problem. I think that's a theme that hopefully y'all have picked up on over the course of these deep dive videos. But what we are seeing from him is, because of that attunement to the situation and scenario, and because of his control and ownership, moving at a speed and pace that is being dictated by him and matched to meet the needs of the opportunities of the problem. That's where we see this second level deceptiveness start to show through. A couple things here. 3rd and 2. Obviously, we're already into the third quarter, and the Colts being down. The score is probably just bringing some extra arousal or anxiety and pressure, not only to the entire Colts roster, but particularly to their star player, right? Um, but we're also seeing on 3rd and 2 that is going to drive some of our global intentions on a respective play. Pick up the first down, specifically 3rd and 2, and you're going to be given a handoff. 3rd and 2 in today's NFL is typically actually a passing down, but obviously we have both options on the table here. But that first down and the intentions around it are going to guide our local intentions. That's how it will work from global to local, and those local intentions are going to determine how we may aim to solve that respective problem to achieve said bigger intentional aim, i.e., pick up first down, make someone miss in the process of it, get the, adapt accordingly, compensate, so on and so forth, as we are about to see. So he runs this dive play and obviously gets nothing but traffic, nothing but congestion here. Let me get back to our 50% now. And see if I can allow this to unfold for you a little bit more slowly. So that congestion, he runs right into the tackle attempt of number 6, but number 6 doesn't, he probably does realize what kind of animal he's operating with here. But what I've said before, and I will say again, many times the National Football League's best, American football, the game of American football's best at any respective level is typically oriented around compensating and adapting better than their peers. And that's really what we find here. Now, granted, I align adaptability very closely to problem solving, but this idea of adaptability within adaptability shows and shines through here as Jonathan Taylor refuses to go down and just keeps creating, just keeps compensating, just keeps adapting to find himself out of harm's way. And particularly when the game's best find themselves compensating and adapting in this fashion, it usually is when a movement problem increases in intensity, when the plan, the strategy, the principle of play, what have you, breaks down. So the play breaks down, the plan breaks down because of lack of assignment, or lack of assignment being a sound assignment football. The intensity of the problem increases, the complexity of the problem increases. There's more interacting component parts than anticipated. The difficulty thus increases, or potentially chaos increases. The NFL's best are able to adapt under those contextual circumstances. And Jonathan Taylor is obviously not exempt of this. He is an exemplar of it. Okay. And so once 26 joins into this tackle attempt alongside number 6, that's when we feel, or that's when Jonathan Taylor feels him come into him, and it actually bounces him in from this right to left type of spin move. That just ends up being a really novel movement action. Again, no two problems are ever the same, neither are any two solutions. So at a certain level, every movement solution is novel, okay, but obviously still executed within a bandwidth. Like I said, I would like to see Jonathan Taylor, maybe not necessarily in this scenario, but potentially here, find himself organizing more deliberate, more intentional spin move strategies to be able, especially with his interpersonal distance control, maybe even right here to go from right to left, or again from left to right, depending on exactly what he's seeing and what he's feeling it, to be able to move out in this fashion. This right now, obviously he's trying to be, he's being constrained and channeled into acting in this dive type of fashion, knowing that it's 3rd and 2 and he's only got 2 to pick up. So he's attempting to put a problem or a power strategy or solution to this respective problem. But there's a lot of green grass, obviously, if he were to bounce this outside, and again, the first down marker being right here, right? So when we see that being the case, I would have liked to seen him be willing to be more creative early on. Now that obviously sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just want to take what's there and then sometimes you want to make something bigger happen with it. But being down by 13, if his coaches and if the coaching staff allows him the opportunity to continue to grow and evolve in this way, I would like to see him take more risks in this way, bounce it outside earlier, especially knowing full well that he has this type of perceptual attunement. And look at where the flow of the action is. He would have this guy to beat and might be off to the races. He could even execute a power cut right now to go from left to right, maybe even a crossover. But again, it's an opportunity for a spin. Any number of movement strategies or solutions may potentially work if he's given the opportunity to exist there. Okay. So that was something I just wanted to say. I'm obviously more in the camp where I like to see sort of this Bruce Lee idea of the player, the creating authentic individual is always more important than any style or system, right? So I'm kind of applying that Bruce Lee mentality here. When the problem is calling for it or the opportunity is there, I would like to see him take more risks and organize, coordinate, control a movement solution that maybe is more creative and novel. Okay. But that's neither here nor there. It ends up being a functional movement strategy and a solution based on the way that he compensates and adapts. Now he gets to this second local movement problem, again, knowing that the movement problems all go together. Okay. And he hits the gas pedal really out of that first movement problem. Something that we see calling card of Jonathan Taylor. Watch this first, second, and third step go down. Okay. He's right into that quick turnover, right into that early acceleration, right back into those projection type of mechanics. Once he gets closer and closer to the first down, he moves on to that next local movement problem and really becomes attuned to it. But at this moment, he wants one thing and one thing only, knowing that which what he just got through, which is right here, lying across the 35-yard line, is the first down that he needs. Okay, that's that 2 yards that he needs to pick up in order to continue to sustain this drive. But once he gets past that first down marker, really once he gets close and knows that it's his, he really moves on to that next local movement problem that has to do right here with number 38. Okay. But you can see even where he's looking. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not picking them up from his periphery. Okay. His periphery being right here, but that's actually pretty far out there to his left in his periphery. So I don't think he sees them just yet. I think he's focused and fixated right here. Get the first down. Now my intentions change once I get that. And that really is the definition of skilled intentionality, right? Remaining open and responsive to a rich landscape of affordances that are going to beckon and call and invite at different levels. Once he gets to this point in place, where, and I want to find where he actually picks them up now. Okay. We can see the head start to turn and he's looking more upfield and likely now able to see in his field of vision, field of view, number 38. And again, there's a number of key candidate control parameters, information variables or sources that could guide the control or coordination of this movement now at this time. Okay. In any event, what we should make very well clear and what should be clear based on this is that the behaviors of this guy, I drew that oval, I drew that circle really poorly, but the behaviors of this guy are obviously that which Jonathan Taylor should become sensitive to, should be attuned to, and use to coordinate his movement actions. Okay. Relative velocity. So a comparison between their respective speeds. He could be using bearing angle. Okay. Bearing angle being where is this guy headed and where will our pass intersect. Again, he's not calculating per se, but this is information that is directly being picked up directly in a JJ Gibson knowledge of type of format. Okay. Body position. Okay. Let's look at the body position here of 38. If I could get my spotlight out. We see he's on left foot plant right now, and this right foot is coming through. He is giving us this indication that he is coming at high speed. So even if we haven't had an opportunity to pick up directly his speed just yet to sort of determine or calculate that intersection point based on his speed or velocity, his body language and movement mechanics are telling us he is moving at a high pace and rate of speed. Or finally, or combined with this huge amount of space, okay, that is here between hashes essentially and sideline down the numbers. And now, of course, there could be additional information sources if he were to look deeper into this problem. Okay, back up here behind the 40, probably between the 40 and the 50, other pursuing opponents, other potential wannabe tacklers. All of this is information that he is utilizing, constantly directly picking up to guide his movement actions. And really, when we see him get closer and closer to the 40-yard line here, as he has more opportunity to stay connected to 38's movement behaviors. Look at him right there. Okay. Before he ever gets to this deceptive action. Again, I don't want you guys to miss this. Watch the looks. He isn't zeroed in on him. He looks to him, looks back to the space, looks to him, looks back to the space. Okay. So it's a constant scanning. He's not anchored there because he's getting everything he needs from him because he is that perceptually connected and attuned. When he gets to the 40, he also realizes like this guy is pretty quick to get to this point, and I don't know if I can beat him to the corner to get down the numbers or down the sideline. I think he might have misperceived here a bit because I do believe, based on this angle, but again, only he can know exactly what he's feeling based on this angle and based on that angle. And very, very, very few individuals are going to have Jonathan Taylor's short distance or medium range type of speed capabilities in the open field. So I think he might have been able to beat him. However, we can only go off of that, which what Jonathan Taylor was directly picking up. All those other constraints could have been playing into this. There could have been a certain level of fatigue there. As he hits the gas pedal, he might not feel his normal or natural pop. All kinds of things could have been entering in play here to factor into the emergent problem solving that we see from him. Okay. What we do see from him, which is something that we might not have seen at Wisconsin or even in his rookie year, is this ownership in this deception in the open field in relation to a 1v1 scenario or situation. And that's where at the 40, we begin to see this hesitation high step. He slows his movement, sees this guy act in a different way, and now he's looking for the cutback to go back behind. He doesn't end up getting it, but you can actually see, yes, he's looking at this guy, but he's looking to him and beyond him. Okay. Don't miss that. I know we're speculating, but again, it seems pretty obvious to me here that that's actually what's unfolding. He's looking for the cutback. He was hoping this guy would overrun it just a little bit because of the speed that he had. So this cutback lane would open up for him to actually, for his body and for his movement to go more right back behind him to sort of fill that void that 38 was just in. Okay. High level stuff here, even though it didn't work. Okay. It worked to pick up a few more yards, but look at him look for that opportunity. And now he gets creative. Now we see the authenticity in the open field. My movement is a result of your movement. I will do anything to create an opportunity and affordance. I say he picked up a few more yards. He picked up like 20 more yards after that point. So that hesitation actually did set up a functional movement strategy or solution. But I think he is looking for that cutback lane back behind him. But 38 does a good job closing ground and closing space. And then we see the feeler again. Okay. We see that stiff arm feeler that goes out there to keep him at bay, keep him away from the football, keep him away from a dangerous position or being tackled by 38. Okay. Hopefully, all of this stuff becomes somewhat apparent and more obvious as we attempt to tell this movement problem solving story for the most dexterous mover currently doing it. Look at the novelty, just adaptability within adaptability. Now we see that perceive to act, act to perceive from him. And Jonathan Taylor has so much that he can continue to build upon that is really some extraordinary high level stuff that I hope throughout the deep dive in every one of these respective weeks across the course of the National Football League season, you were able to see many of the things that I saw where Jonathan Taylor is very apparently playing chess while others are just playing checkers. Okay. Functional, adaptive movement strategies and solutions in an intertwined, interwoven nature between perceptions, cognitions, and actions. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is pretty obvious, pretty dexterous, solving problems that other people cannot.